This video is about writing the first draft of the project. So I'm looking at Module 7, Topic 2 in the workbook, and it is assumed at this point that you have collected the data for the project already, so you have a spreadsheet. It looks like this, where you have a list of counties, 36 counties that are your own, and then you've looked up the mortality rates. Now, I was lazy. I have not looked up all the mortality rates in my spreadsheet here, but you would need to have your data ready. And you got that data from this website. And so you can go back to the previous topics back in Module 6 to catch up with anything that's missing there before you get started writing the project. Now, in just the last video, Module 7, Topic 1, I discussed a proposal for the research project. Okay, so that's what comes before you actually do the project. This is saying what we plan to do. So if you're confused about what the project is about or what it's going to include, you want to go back and read the research proposal, and that describes the project that we're just about to get started on right now. So we're going to write a series of drafts for the project during the semester. Each time you write a new draft, you'll make the changes. We'll give you feedback on each draft, and then you make some changes and corrections based on my comments. And then in each draft, you go on and you add a new 1 or 2 paragraphs. So the paper will grow a little bit longer with each new draft, and each draft is worth more points than the one before. So it'll be worth the same points as the one before, plus some extra points for whatever the new paragraphs are in the new draft. And the way these are assigned in the workbook, you'll have a section on what to do, and then you'll have a section on how to hand it in, and a section on the grading criteria. So to get started on the first draft, we're gonna begin with these steps, and the purpose of the video is whenever these steps tell you to do something in Microsoft Word or Excel, I can show you with the video how to do those things. So you don't have to remember all the steps. They're written down for you, but you may want to refer back to the video if you don't remember where to find a particular feature in Word or Excel. So our first step for our first draft of the research paper is to open up a document in Microsoft Word or any other text editor, as long as it will be able to print PDF files. So here I just opened this folder I had on my desktop here, Fred's Project. So you'll want to keep a similar kind of folder for yourself, where you'll have like the spreadsheet where you collected your data, and you'll have your drafts as you write them. Keep all your project stuff together. Okay, so I'm going to say new and make a new Microsoft Word document. If you're on a different platform, you might just open Microsoft Word and save the document to this location. And I'm going to call it, you put your name. Okay. So I'll call it your name, and then this is going to be draft 1. And I'm going to open up that Word file, and I need a title. Well, what's our paper about? We go back to the proposal. We propose to study the distribution of the hepatitis mortality rate among the set of all counties in the United States. That's what we propose to study. So if we could just like chop a few words out of that itself might make a good title. So I'm going to paste it there. Let's say I want to do my I'll do the capitalize each word thing, and then some of the minor words I don't want to capitalize. Make this bigger so you can see. Set of all counties in the U.S. Why don't I just say U.S. counties? And if you go look at the study that we got our data from, it was for the year 2014. So that might help. You know, you want a title where when your reader sees the article and the table of contents for a journal, they'll know if they're interested or not. Putting the year there is probably helpful. And then the style for this paragraph, let's see, I mean, this should be the title style. That looks huge because I've blown up the page here. If I go back down to more normal size, so it's not totally huge. So over here in my instructions, I've got to get back to the first step here. Step 1, open the document. Step 2, title the paper and identify what variable is being studied. That's hepatitis mortality rate. In what population, U.S. counties. Okay. And then I'm going to add the author and the date, and I'm going to use the subtitle paragraph style. I'll come down here. You put your name. I put my name there, except in previous semesters, then people put my name for the title of their paper. You don't want that. Okay. And the date. So let's see, this is September 19th, 2020. Our favorite year in history. Okay. So we're going to select that. And for the styles, see over here in the instruction, it says use the subtitle paragraph style. So you come over here to styles under the home menu. And, well, come on. It keeps clicking down. Okay, there. Subtitle. Okay. So there we go. I kind of like to center these. That's your own choice. Subtitle center. Okay. Now let's see. I need to use insert endnote or insert footnote to place the first endnote or footnote superscript immediately after the author's name. So there's your name, and I'm going to come over here to references, and I guess I'll do endnotes. Just depends whether you want to put them at the bottom of each page or at the end of the whole paper. So I'll put them at the end of the paper. So insert endnote. And put a little I there and a little matching I down here. It'll keep track of the numbers and keep them matched up. If you delete one, you know, it'll renumber everything and keep it right. Okay. And then I fill in the affiliation endnote or footnote. State your institutional affiliation and your funding source. So you put your name, and you're doing this for City College of San Francisco. And indicate your funding for the research. Well, nobody's paying you to do it, so this research is unfunded. Now this is standard to say who you are, who you're working for, and who's paying for the work. Just in the interest of full disclosure, you know, I tend to be very skeptical if I come to a claim in a newspaper or anywhere else, and they don't give me all the footnotes where I can track down the source of the data. I can see how it was collected. You know, it's not so much who did it as how they did it. You know, I tend to be wary. Okay. So we have done step 4. We have filled in the affiliation endnote. And now we come to step 5, where we're going to add the introductory paragraph. Okay. Now, I don't want to totally write this paragraph for you, but I have these guidelines so when you write the paragraph, you need to answer these questions that I'm highlighting here. And so, you know, one of the first things you want to start out with is, what are the goals of the research? And, I mean, I've had people say, I don't know. And I don't know if they read the second sentence. They must be exactly as they appeared in the project proposal. And then I have students say, well, I don't know where that is. Okay, it's the previous section right before this one. So the easiest way to state the goals where you're saying what you have accomplished in this research is to copy and paste from the proposal where you were saying, here's what I plan to accomplish in the future. And that's really all that it amounts to, is changing the tense. The proposal was before you did the research, saying what you propose to do in the future. But now that you're writing the paper, you're just stating what you have done. Or what you've started to do some of it now with the previous exercises where you made sample statistics and a histogram and so forth. You're just now writing up, reporting on what you have done. So it should not be in the future tense. You avoid the future tense. And you avoid the pronoun I, okay? A research paper, it's not about you, and it's not personal. It's the research, the data shows this, you know. This research demonstrates. You try to just kind of avoid mentioning yourself. You know, you're trying to pretend it wouldn't matter who did it. Anybody would come to the same conclusion because it's all just in the numbers. We're not just pretending, we want to make that as real as possible. Okay. So, you say, what are the goals of the research? What variable was studied? What population was studied? And all of that is identified just a few pages back. You flip back to the research proposal. Now, if you want to see an example of how this looks in the final form, over here in the workbook, there's a chapter near the end of the workbook called Sample Projects. I got a few papers written by students in previous semesters. So these are papers that got A's. The papers, okay, so it's different data, right? I mean, this person was writing about poverty and so forth. And so, I mean, no, you can't just copy their words, but you can see the format. You can see how they arranged it. And you'll find that the reason why they got the A is here they, in that introductory paragraph, they went through and they answered the questions that are described. Back here in the instructions. So there's several paragraphs that you'll write. There's right about the introductory paragraph, and then there's right about the data source and their methods, right about the accuracy of the measurements. Each one of these is a paragraph. The instruction will tell you what goes in the topic sentence and what else you need to say about it. And then after you're done, you save it as a PDF file. So in Microsoft Word, you go over here and you can, well, I have a save as Adobe PDF. You may not have that. If you don't, you can go to print and you can choose this Microsoft Print to PDF feature. If you're on a different word processing platform, you've got to maybe figure out yourself, or maybe we get on a Zoom and try to figure it out together for whatever your software is. Okay. So anyway, you print it, save it as a PDF file, and then you hand it in. Now, the one thing you may be worried about is, so as you're writing these paragraphs, it'll ask you questions, like what was the source of your data, and talk about their methods. How did you copied the number from these people, Global Data Health Index, Global Health Data Index, and they got the data from somewhere. Where did they get it? They got it from this article here in the Journal of the American Medical Association. There's a summary of that article. You don't have to write a lot, but you just want to describe. So did they do a big survey? Did they look at records from hospitals or public health agencies, or, how did they find out these mortality rates? And just not in a lot of technical language. You just tell the reader, so the reader has some idea where all this came from, so they can kind of judge where the method's reliable. Is it something that they want to believe? Okay, so what do you have to work with here on the page where we got the data? There's the data file that you downloaded. That's what I'm pointing to right now. There's a data release information sheet. Just a real brief summary of where the data came from. There's the research article that it's all based on. And then if you click over, so this is written by by some researchers, by, who was it over here? It was, oh, I cannot pronounce the name, but these people, okay. But, so this was written by those people, but over here there's a little summary written by the Global Health Data Index. So these people, what they do is they just collect papers written by others and republish them and give a little summary. So if you want to see their like super abbreviated summary, you can click here. They have a little summary written there. Citation information. So this is how you cite their website, but it's not how you cite the paper from the Journal of the American Medical Association. Now for that one, you'd have to look over here, and you'd find their citation information. So, yeah, so whenever you come to questions over here, that some of them will be you answer by analyzing your list of data, and some of them will be questions that you answer by looking back at the source. Like in this section about the accuracy of the measurements, when you made your data spreadsheet that you handed in a previous assignment, you calculated these margins of errors, margin of error for each county. In this paragraph, you're supposed to say what's the typical margin of error. And you could just find for all these counties, like the median would be a typical value. Usually when we say the word typical, that's what we mean, is median. So you could answer this question about the accuracy based on your own calculations in the spreadsheet. Okay, I think I'm going to stop talking about it because the instructions are very detailed, and the only thing that really needs to be emphasized is you just have to go through step by step, and it'll pretty much tell you each sentence to write. And then you can go to the sample papers in the back of the workbook to see how somebody else accomplished it. And between those two, the papers usually come out pretty good. It's the ones that get, well, the procrastination is usually the issue, or just not doing it. But the ones that get handed in are usually pretty good. And usually most, you know, we'll have just a couple of people will kind of not get started, but mostly everybody does it. So, you know, I think it should be okay, and you can just ask me lots of questions in the Zoom sessions by email, and we'll try to help you as you go along. I think rather than making a speech about the whole paper all at once, it's better to talk about it bit by bit as you go along. And so you'll need to get started with that pretty soon. And so it never becomes a real big thing. It's always just, okay, one more paragraph to write. And that's about it. So good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.